To stick to things, to adhere to things, was the problem. And I recognized that was a problem in all areas of my life. I couldn't finish. I could just start. And I would get 5, 6, 10, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in, and then I'm like, oh, I'm doing good. And then I would reward myself with the same behavior that I was trying to get away from. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the difference between thinking of it as I gotta lose weight rather than thinking of it as I've gotta look at this as a mental transformation that I need to make so that I can adhere to the things that I want to do in my life. What do you think about that?
That is like 1,000%.
Because it switched it for me, dude. It made it real easy. Like when I started fucking telling myself, bro, you're mentally weak. Like, this is not about being fat, bro. This is about you can't control this beer that sits in front of you.
Yes.
You can't control this pizza. How the fuck are you going to build a company? How are you going to be successful? And at that time I had built a company, but I hadn't, it's not like it now, you know what I'm saying? And that pissed me off. Like, that fucking bothered me. Like, bro, I'm losing to a fucking pizza?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What do you think on that?
No, it's the inability to keep promises to yourself. It's like, that sums it up right there. And that was always my thing. Like, I had lost like 80 or 90 pounds, and we did it. We had a family cruise. So like, we did a weight loss challenge, and like, oh, we're gonna get in great shape for this cruise. And then I went on the cruise and I ate like a shithead. Like, I literally just went back to my old habits, drinking, eating, put on the weight again, and then like couldn't get it off. So this 75 hard to me, it's people say it takes 21 days to come out. That's
yes, for sure. Yeah.
I think 75 to 120 days, you actually can start to make real change, and that's what you learn with 75 hard is it's long enough that it causes you to have inconvenience, right? Like, we had weddings, we had vacations, we had parties, like we had so many different things that you go through while you're on 75 hard, and you just learn like, hey, the only way to get progress is to do something long enough and stop quitting, because like you said, it would be this cyclical cycle of, hey, you're really, really good for even, let's call it 3 weeks, and just be like, oh, like, either I lost some weight, so now I reward myself with pizza, or I'm not seeing progress, so this is just too hard, I might as well just eat what I want to eat because I'm not seeing progress. And so that to me is what 75 hard teaches you. It's like every single day, it doesn't matter about what the end result is, it matters about every day doing tasks and just completing it to the best of your ability. And to me, I just kept telling myself, like, you only have to do this for one more day. Like, all you gotta do is do this today. Just get
yeah, and then you wake up in the morning like, I did it.
Right.
And then your confidence is up a little bit.
Right. You don't ever wake up with regret.
Right.
And that's why, like, every day you wake up and you just build momentum. And then once that momentum kicks in, so I read 75 hard while I was doing 75 hard, and it was crazy because, like, the way you describe the different days, like, I remember getting to the end and being in that God mode where you're just like, dude, I can do anything.
Yeah.
Like, literally I'm not stop.
Yeah.
And it's funny, my journey ended on our 10-day vacation. Like, my last 10 days we were on vacation. And like, I remember just like, I packed a bench and dumbbells and like a vest, and like, we were snowboarding. And people were like, oh, did you count snowboarding as a workout? I was like, no, that's not a workout. Like, that's fun. Like, a workout is 45 minutes of intentional working out.
That's right.
Like, not something you would do for fun.
Right, not mowing the grass.
Yeah.
Not playing golf.
Right.
It's a fucking dedicated workout, bro.
And that was another thing I learned. Like, and obviously, like, going through the journey and having the podcast as something I listened to, like, I literally would listen to Real AF pretty much on all my outdoor workouts, and having these other episodes of 75 Hard Versus really made a huge impact because I listened to Will's episode, and I remember I had a day where I worked out, and I was probably at like 42 minutes, and someone showed up to my office, and I had to help them. And I went back, it was like 15 minutes that I helped them, and I went back and I finished my workout. And then I was listening to that podcast, an outdoor workout, and I was like, fuck. I was like, that workout didn't count.
Yeah.
There was not 45 minutes of pure intention, and I remember getting home that night and going to the garage and be like, I gotta do my workout.
Yeah, I gotta feel like that.
No, it felt great, but it's like those little things you learn of like, this is what separates you. This is what makes you have life change and not just continuously going back to your old habits. And even weird things that I would pick up on, like I would get something for my kids. Like, let's say my son wanted a snack. Like my old habit, like, oh, I'm grabbing you some Doritos, like I'll just eat a couple. Like I found myself like in that motion, like, oh, you can't do that. But it's like you learn how programmed you are to just do things without even thinking. And this almost like unprogrammed you.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It makes you kind of start over.
Dude, you're obviously, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I was a food addict.
Okay,
I think so too.
Yeah,
right.
Very emotional. Like everything had to be an event.
So one of the problems I always had with dieting was the cheat meal mentality, right? Like when I would go 6 days, 5 days, and then say, oh, I get a cheat meal, almost always that cheat meal would undo all the progress because it would be fucking massive.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, it was a trigger. It sent me down the path of all the old shit that was causing all my old problems. And I'm not against, when you're fit and you've got your shit together and things are good and you're mentally in control of your external circumstances, meaning your food, you can control it, throwing in some nice meals once in a while. But at the end of the day, if we're gonna fix this problem in ourselves of the overeating part, we have to fucking do that for an extended period of time. It would be no different than if I said you were addicted to heroin and I said, hey, you gotta fucking stop using heroin, bro. But
Every 7 days.
yeah, but every 7 days you get high. And you know what? Also, you can do a little bit every day, just a little bit, but you can't do more than that.
Yeah.
And otherwise, if you don't do a little bit, you're gonna die. I mean, bro, think about how hard that would be to change that habit. And people that don't suffer with the food problem, the food addiction problem, even if it's a little bit of an addiction, they can't really understand that. They'll say things like, oh, having a cheat meal is fine. Yeah, maybe for you it is, but for these people that have no control and no ability to adhere, like both of us and millions of other people, we have to go an extended period of time to recalibrate our mindset around that food.
No, 100%. And food addiction, in my opinion, is the hardest thing to break because you have to eat to
No
live.
doubt. Yeah.
And that's what you learn. Like I really had to start separating like food from emotion and pleasure into like, hey, I eat to live and to fuel my body.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like I'll even have in my plan to have like a refeed or a free meal, or a cheat meal, whatever you want to call it. But it's like most of the time I don't even enjoy it because like I would rather just eat clean because I just feel so much better.
Yeah, me too, bro. It's out of me now, for real. Well, probably not for real. Like I bet if I went like a week,
Yeah.
I would probably get back into
It's
it.
easy to slip back into.
Yeah, for sure. Now, dude, we talk a lot about 75 hard when we talk about not just the physical transformation, right? It is a mental recalibration program. And for guys like us that were big and fat as fuck, let's be real, people tend to notice the physical, but we talk a lot about the confidence, the self-belief, the grit, the fortitude, the self-esteem, the ability to endure. Let's talk about that for a minute. How were you before 75 hard in those areas? It sounds like you struggle with your confidence, especially when it came to your body, you were ashamed of it, things like that.
Yeah, I definitely had a confidence issue 100% in my body. I feel like as someone who's kind of always been an entrepreneur and always, like I've had confidence in other areas.
Yeah.
But physically, that was something that like 1000% I lacked. Like I did the fat guy, like you pull on your shirt all the time,
man.
trying to get it off your man boobs, like that kind of stuff. But I'll say, in my like early 20s, I did network marketing. So I was exposed to a ton of personal development. And I think that personal development is phenomenal, but I think there's this culture of like, you just constantly are either reading, listening, or going to these events, and then you're never like applying what you're learning, you're never actually taking action, and people get sucked into this
Absolutely.
like just wheel of like, oh, I'm doing personal development, but you're not doing anything
You're not
with it.
executing. Yeah.
And so I had finally gotten to a point where like I was just executing all the time. And so doing 75 hard brought back in personal development, and I remembered like, wow, like you can be an executor, but like having positive stuff being poured into you too while you're executing is like the cheat code. Because it's one thing just to like listen and read and do all the things and never execute, and then it's another thing just to execute and not have good stuff.
Right.
And so like starting to read again and like listening to podcasts and like all that stuff was massive for me because I used to do it all the time. And then I just got so sick of like, well, I don't need to listen to that. I just need to go out and work and like execute on it. And so having that, like having to read 10 pages a day and like stuff like that, and even going into like phase 1 and like visualization and the different parts of the live hard, those are all like massive game changers.
That's awesome, dude. I firmly believe that most people know exactly what they want out of their life, They say they know, but they do know. And I think a lot of people do exactly what you said. They become what I call success zombies. They will read, they will listen, they will go to seminars, they will hire some sort of mentor, they will do all these things, and they will continue to do those things because they're afraid of actually taking action. And I think one of the great things about 75 Hard is that it forces you into action, and by the time you're done with it, you're ready for more action. And so I've heard from a lot of people that it's been a big catalyst in other areas of their life, not just their fitness and not just their business, but also their relationships, their friendships, their ability to be more effective with their time. What's your thoughts on that kind of stuff?
I mean, no doubt. I don't know how deep into the story you want to get, but it literally changed the trajectory of our life.
I want to hear it, bro. That's why you're here.
Yeah, so it's like, I finished 75 Hard, which was amazing, and I had a good transformation, and honestly,
you had an amazing transformation.
Yeah. But I finished it, and I literally remember waking up day 76 just being extremely afraid. Like, I'm going to fucking lose it. And I remember, like, Lauren was like, hey, what do you want? Like, you want to have like a meal or anything? I was like, no, I don't want anything. Like, I want to go do my first workout.
That's how you know you did it.
And I went out, I remember filming like, surprise motherfuckers, like, workout number 1, like, here we go. And I ended up, it was like Christmas time. I think I took like 2 weeks off and like still did my stuff, but before I jumped into phase 1. And then I jumped into phase 1, and honestly, phase 1 was like another just like whole new level, because where we live, it doesn't get extremely cold, but January and February, which is kind of like where I split phase 1, the water was temping out at like 43 degrees from the shower. And I remember waking up every morning with just such anxiety of like, I've got to go get in the shower. And I didn't do like turn it hot and take a shower. Like, I was just more like, let's just make it cold and just go head first. And I remember the first time I was like, it feels like I'm getting hit with an aluminum baseball bat.
Yeah.
And I would make like all these crazy noises, and she'd be like, are you all right? And I would do my visualization, like I would start that process in the shower.
Oh, bro, you didn't do it then. You failed. There's no way you can fucking visualize when you're feeling like that. You just visualize, get the fuck out of the shower.
I would do that, and then I would do like stretching and stuff and do more visualization. But I remember like being in the shower.
Oh, it's easy.
No, I know. Yeah. I know. I remember being like in the cold showers and like honestly visualizing this moment, and like, hey, like one day I'll get to share this story with you and be on the podcast. But it's crazy because I did live hard, and through that process, I was probably in the middle of phase 1. So I'd already completed 75 Hard. I was in the middle of phase 1. It's like I had my stuff together. Like, I was pretty rock and rolling. And I remember Lauren, who's my wife, came home one day, and at the time she was a area director for a home health care company. So she would travel all over the state. And, you're going into people's houses. She had a concealed weapons permit, so she would carry with her because I wanted her to be safe. And she came home one day and she sat me down and she said, hey, I got to tell you something. I don't want you to like freak out. Like, I don't want you to check me into a mental hospital or whatever. She's like, I love you. I love our kids. I love our life. She's like, but I'm suicidal. And she's like, I'm really struggling with like intrusive thoughts and like all this stuff. And like, if I hadn't had my shit together, like, I don't know what that conversation would have looked like, but it was, I wouldn't say it was easy for me, but like, I was like, look, you need to go to the gym, you need to work out, you need to clean up your diet. Like, first of all, give me your gun, like, we're gonna put that away. And then we're gonna do things together to help you get through this. And so like, just that alone was like a whole life-changing moment for us. And that really like helped her get out of a season of like just craziness and darkness. And so we worked through that. And then, went into phase 2. And I know you talk about phase 2 is always hard because you have that break, and it is. It's like phase 2 feels like it's 100 days long. Yeah. Even though it's only 30. And you're like, man, I just finished phase 1 and there were so many extra tasks. But you get into phase 2, why does it feel like it's just taking you forever?
Even though it's the regular 75 hard work days.
Yeah.
No, that you've already done. And you cruise through. Yeah.
It is wild. And obviously losing 160 pounds, like I had a lot of loose skin. And so it's crazy. I had a consultation for skin removal. And when we planned the surgery out, the date that they had available was July 25th. And I did the math for the recovery time. And the clearance day was day 1 of phase 3. Oh. And I told my surgeon, I said, look, dude, I need to know, like, is this 100%? Like, this is enough time to recover because I cannot miss this day. And it's crazy. I had the skin removal surgery, and I can remember like day 1 of phase 3, like I got the clearance to work out, and I was like, all right, let's go. And so we did phase 3, and And that was a wild experience because it was still like, COVID was kind of over, but it wasn't. Like some people were still wearing masks, and so like I love talking to people. Like never met a stranger. I don't have a problem carrying a conversation, but having a conversation with a stranger when no one wants to talk to you,
when everybody's terrified,
dude, it is. And like I was so, I don't want to be like I was so next level on everything, but I feel like I was. Like I just like if we had started a conversation and it didn't turn into a conversation, I was like that doesn't count. But like I had to like go the extra mile. So like having conversations with people was. She'd be like, "What was the hardest part of your day?" I was like, "The conversation." Like it would give me anxiety, so I would try and like knock it out. But all of the things in the entire program, just it's such a genius program. Like it literally just changes everything, and the amount of discipline that you receive from it is just it's something like I've never experienced. Like I tell people now, we coach people, and I'm like, do 75 hard. Like it'll absolutely change everything that you do. And that kind of led me into bodybuilding and going into bodybuilding prep. And if I would have never done 75 hard, there's no way I would have made it through.
Yeah, and you've actually had some really cool accomplishments with that too. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started prepping in 2023 for summer shredding, which is kind of like a new league from.
Now that's Christian Guzman.
Yep. So he created summer shredding. And the one thing I love about summer shredding is there's a massive focus on transformation. And that's another thing I love about it.
I like what they're doing with that.
Yeah.
Because it's giving regular people a chance to compete. I think it's great.
And that's what I love about First Form and 75 Hard is it's not this focus on like the elite athletes, right? It's like the everyday person.
You can become an elite athlete, but,
for sure.
But we all start somewhere.
Right. And so that's what I love about it is there's a massive focus on transformation of like, hey, not everyone might aspire to be a bodybuilder, but everyone wants to be the best version of themselves.
That's right.
And so they announced that they were doing like a full season, so there were going to be multiple shows in multiple cities. And I decided I was going to prep for a show, and then they announced the cities. And so there was one in Tampa, which is like a probably 8-hour drive for us. And I was like, you know what? I was already doing a show the week after. So I was like, let's just go to Tampa and see what happens. And so we went to Tampa, and I did my first prep, and it was like one of the hardest things I've ever done. And if I hadn't have done 75 hard, there's no shot I would have made it, because 75 hard, while it is very, very difficult, especially for someone who starts out at 360, you can choose your diet, right? So like you don't have to be in this extreme calorie deficit. Like you could eat at maintenance, or you could, eat in a slight deficit. Well, bodybuilding is just a whole different world. Like you're basically starving yourself at some point. And so getting through that, if I hadn't developed mental toughness, there's no shot that it would have happened. But on the way down, Lauren made a joke or a bet. She's like, hey, if you win, I'll compete the day before the championship, because if you win, you qualify for their championship. And she's like, I'll do bikini. And so I'm one, I hate losing. So we go down to Tampa, and I win, and I walk off the stage, and I just hand her the trophy, and I said, you're up. And,
awesome.
And so we got to prep as a couple, which was a very unique experience with 2 kids and a business and all that. But that made us closer than we've ever been, really like heightened our relationship even more. We've been together for 18 years, been married for almost 12. And going through that together in like the dark times of like just pushing yourself to do things like you say, just do something hard every day.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that together was so cool. And then to go to Houston, like we told our kids every single day, like, hey, mommy, daddy gotta go do cardio, like we have to do these things, but it's okay, because like I'm gonna win. I'm gonna bring home the trophy, and like you're gonna stand on stage with me. And so like painting that picture for them was such a cool thing. And when we were leaving for Texas, I had this moment of like, shit, like what if I don't win? Like I've literally like painted this whole picture of like, hey, we're gonna go and bring the trophy home, and like you're gonna get to stand on stage. And I can remember competing in the championship, and I won transformation, which was crazy in itself, because it was a lot of really good competition. There was thousands of people who competed all year. And so that was like a really cool moment. But then you go into the finals, and you're going to crown the overall champion. And so it's me, the guy who won men's physique, the guy who won classic, the guy who won open bodybuilding. and the four of us have to go against each other. And I'm like a transformation guy, so I'm like, yeah, I'm you know, not the craziest physique, but it's not necessarily all based on physique. You know, it's based on your story, how you can impact the fitness community and all that stuff. And long story short, I ended up winning, and my kids were in bodybuilding suits, and they like bum rushed the stage.
That's
so
awesome.
We have these photos of them flexing with me with the trophy and running on stage. It's just such a full circle moment of like,
They'll remember that forever.
no doubt. But it's like, man, 3 years ago I was fat as fuck.
Yeah.
Like I was literally 360 pounds, and now I'm like,
Yeah, you won't even look yourself in the mirror, bro.
yeah.
Now you're winning contests.
No doubt. And so it's just been such a wild thing, but it literally started with the decision to do 75 hard.
Yeah.
And that changed everything.
Yeah, man, that's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your experience through the program, because like you said, I think it's pretty accurately described in the book, the phases. When I first did it the first time, bro, it was like the first 25 days were brutal. What was it like for you?
Well, I know this.
It was pure force the first 25 days.
Yeah, so I made the mistake of like when I first started my outdoor workouts, I was like, all right, I gotta sprint, I gotta do like all these crazy things.
Yeah.
And it's funny because day one on my outdoor workout, it started raining. And it's funny how as you progress, you start to hope for bad weather.
Yeah.
Because you're
I
just
love
like,
that.
no one's gonna be out here doing this. And
it empowers you, bro. You're
yeah,
looking around, you're like,
feel,
who the f else is doing this?
Yeah.
Nobody.
yeah, but I remember on like day 6, we were camping, and we were at a campground, and so, you know, when you have 2 kids and a business and a wife, like, Lauren was super supportive, but there's also like a lot of sacrifice that goes into that of like, hey, I gotta get 2 workouts in, and now it's the weekend and we're camping. So I remember waking up like extra early because I wanted to knock out my outdoor workout before they woke up. And I remember I was wearing a weighted vest, it was raining, and I was like jogging, and I remember just crying and just being like, why am I doing, like, this is miserable. Like my feet had blisters, like I was in so much pain because at the time I was still like 300 something pounds. Like trying to run with a 40-pound vest on is not.
You were just trying to tackle it a little too much.
Yeah, well, I went real hard out the gate. But yeah, I just remember like the first 20 days are definitely like brutal.
Yeah. Well, my feet got fucked up too. My feet were the worst part. And then because they got so fucked up the first 20 days, they didn't feel it. So like for my first 75 hard, and then I skipped 1 day and I went straight into phase 1. So for that whole 106 days, bro, my feet fucked.
No, I believe it.
Yeah. That was the hardest part. But then what happened after that? After you got used to it?
Then you just get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I mean, then it's like you start scaling stuff. I remember.
Was there a point in time where you were like, oh, I can actually do this?
Yeah, I think I can't remember what day it was, but I was probably like in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you guys were doing the Chad 1000 at HQ, and I hadn't done my outdoor workout yet, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And so we had a box at the office, I pulled it out back, I put on my weighted vest, and it took me like 2 hours and 15 minutes to complete 1,000 weighted step-ups. And it was probably the worst thing I've ever done. But I remember finishing it and just being like, holy fuck, like I did it. Like, I did it and I didn't die.
Yeah.
And so,
And now you have the confidence that, bro, if you had to do anything, really, you can do it. Yeah. That's what Goggins talks about a lot. You know, you read Goggins' books?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, he's
I did. Can't Hurt Me was book number 2.
Yeah.
And that wrecked me since like his childhood. Yeah. Reading that, and I read Iron Cowboy.
Yeah.
Both of those in 75 Hard. And it's just like, it makes 75 Hard laughable.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm complaining about store feet, and you got James Lawrence running 50 Ironman.
Yeah, but bro, remember, like, before that, like, dude, it would be, look, I would look for any excuse to justify me not doing what I was supposed to do. Whether it be the food, whether it be the workouts. Bro, if it were raining, I was like, it's raining. I'm not, I'll do it tomorrow. No big deal. Every time. Now, both of us are to the point where like, all right, it's hailing, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's quite the change, you know what I'm saying? And because, like Goggins talks about, you know, we put that in our memory bank, he calls it the cookie jar. But we put that in the cookie jar for the things that we've already accomplished, and then when things get tough again, we get to say, this ain't shit, I already did this and this and this. You know, like, there's a lot of value to doing hard things because life never gets easier. Life never relents. It never slows down. And there's going to be times, no matter how much work we put in, no matter how much we accomplish that's difficult, that things are going to feel hard again. And we have to have those things that we can look back on and say, damn, no, we did that, we did this, we did that, we got this. And that's a huge deal for people because, dude, a lot of people, quite honestly, they just haven't done anything hard. You know, their life has been soft. They've had hard situations meaning maybe with their finances or someone dying or things like that. But I'm talking about like intentionally sticking hard things out and beating that voice in our head that I call the bitch voice, which is the voice that talks to us and tells us exactly what we want to hear, that gets us to not do the thing that we know we're supposed to do. And that voice, especially when you're in sales, like you have been and I have been, is very, very good at selling ourselves. You know what I mean? Nobody can sell me on bullshit like me.
Yeah.
And that goes for all of us. If you're out there sitting, you're probably nodding your head. Nobody can justify you not doing what you're supposed to do like you. You know exactly what to say. You know exactly what works. And this whole program is about silencing that and empowering the other voice that we all have, which is the one that told you, hey bro, you're fucking fat. It's time to do something. And that voice, when we're in a state where our bitch voice dominates the conversation, only comes around very infrequently. And when it does, it's usually very quiet. But once in a while, it'll speak real loud. And this whole program is about raising the volume of that voice to the point where it's the only one we can hear. And that's one of the things that's done for me. You know, living the live hard lifestyle, we talked about this in the gym a little bit. It's completely changed my entire life. And you know, people say it's not sustainable. No, it is sustainable. It's designed to be sustainable because it's designed to be completed once per year. You dedicate less than 50% of your year to going as hard as possible, and the rest of the year you get to live your life comfortable with yourself, confident with yourself, productive, fit, feeling good, having the ability to push through the hard things. It's a good trade. And just like taking a shower every day, discipline is a skill that washes off if we don't exercise it. It's a perishable skill. It's like playing the guitar. It's like shooting a pistol. If we don't do that consistently, we lose the ability to do it. And you know, the living that lifestyle, dude. I mean, it's been 8 years now, and I haven't put the weight back on. You know, in fact, I've continued to get better and better and better. And mentally better and better and better and sharper. I'm curious to hear how this, if at all, affected the way you guys are doing business.
It definitely changed business because one, I think being in a health fitness industry, like doing meal prep, everyone's watching you, whether you think they are or not, and especially when you're trying to help other people get in shape. I think me being the ultimate billboard for what our company did, because through 75 Hard, my diet was like, hey, I ate our food because I wanted to show that like it worked, it was healthy food. And so having that, but then also having the confidence. And I like to tell this to people all the time, confidence doesn't come from getting to the end result. Confidence comes from keeping the promises that you say you're gonna do. And even when I was still on my journey, which I'm still on a journey, I'm still trying to get better every day, but even as I was losing weight and I was still severely overweight, my confidence went through the roof because guess what? Today I was perfect. Yeah. And I woke up tomorrow and I was gonna be perfect again. Yeah. So I could confidently go out there and tell you like, hey, I can help you because I know what to do, and I might not have the results that I want yet, but I know I'm gonna get there. And so like I would say it changed a lot about our business. I would say it helped grow tremendously. And it made me a lot better as a business partner, as a husband. Like I just became way more efficient because you realize how much time you waste, how much you procrastinate things, how much time you just spend on your phone. Like, and then all of a sudden you do 75 hard, you do live hard, and you're like, how did I get all that done and I got my work done and I still have time?
To do what you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
dude, that's one of the things that's really like a paradox. They look at it and they're like, I don't have time for this. You get 30 days in, you're like, whoa, I didn't realize I had this much time. And then the other thing that happened to me, dude, was I got very intolerant of people wasting my time. I fucking couldn't stand, I still can't stand it. You know, dumb conversations, small talk, just things that were, you know, fucking useless in my life. I cut them all out.
Yeah, I have a guy that I'm coaching right now, and he's on day 58.
He's in the dog days.
And the other day he texted me, he's like, man, I don't know what's going on, but like I'm real irritable, like everyone's pissing me off, like this is all happening. I was like, bro, let me call you real fast. I was like, let me tell you what's happening. You are leveling up, and people around you are not, and it is wrecking you.
Yeah.
And so we just like walked through, and he's like, that's exactly how I feel. And
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, because every day you're getting better.
Yeah. And
the people, you're wondering why people around you aren't getting any better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely.
Yeah, you start, and this is gonna sound fucked up to people, but it's the truth. You start to look around and you're like, dude, you're pathetic, bro. Like you're not even trying. Like and it's not because you despise him or anything, it's because you fucking care about him. You're like, brother, you are wasting your life. And it's like, and once you start to get in that zone, especially when you get in the rhythm, you know, 30, 40, you know, 50, you get in those 50s, it gets a little tough. But only because it's so monotonous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you start looking at people and you're like, fuck, dude, this isn't that hard. And you could totally change your life. But you're just choosing the coast. And it gets annoying, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard for me to be around people that aren't trying to get better now. Like, it's like, real talk. And it sounds elitist, it sounds messed up. But I don't care if you're 500 pounds, bro. I don't care if you're 800 pounds. I don't give a But if you got rubber bands and you're fucking doing the arms and you're making an effort, I respect that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care what someone's physique is as long as they're after it, bro. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like you have empathy. You've been there, but then you also know like you have the ability to change. And I think that's the biggest thing is like being overweight my whole life. Like it was just all excuses.
Yeah.
And like you said with like, wow, I can't believe this beer has that much control over me. It's like, how dumb do you feel that the food has that much control?
Yeah, like you're like a baby, bro. That's like a baby. You can't control what goes in your mouth.
Yeah.
That means you are a fucking baby. Like, really think about that. If you lack the control to not do something, meaning, this is how easy it is, and also how hard it is. All I have to do is not put that shit in my mouth. That's all I have to do. And I couldn't do that. And because I couldn't do that, it was wrecking my life. I was 350 pounds. I was miserable. I wouldn't look myself in the mirror. I was embarrassed. I wore the same outfit every day. I wouldn't go to pool parties. I wouldn't go to the beach. I didn't like getting dressed up because my suits never fit. All I wanted to do was stay home and wear workout clothes and fucking basically avoid everything other than what I had to do at work. And dude, now I'm the complete opposite. Now I do stay home still, but I feel proud. When I walk in a room now, I feel proud. But the problem for me that I struggle with, brother, is like, and you might struggle with this with coaching, but I definitely do. It's like the solution. The reason diet culture is so fucked up is because it does not address the core problem. The core problem is that you do not have the discipline to adhere to the program. Meaning, you know what you have to do, but because you know, and dude, people will, I did this, and you probably did this too. I tried keto, I tried this, I tried that, I tried cycling my carbs, I tried this, I tried doing this thing, I tried, you know, all this over here. I tried everything looking for the solution, not realizing that the solution was the way that my mental was framed. Like, bro, this is not a physical thing, this is a mental thing. And when you fix the mental thing, the physical thing automatically comes around. And when I had that realization, dude, it fucking changed everything for me. Because I do have an ego about being weak. I don't want to be weak. Yeah. You know, even when I was fat, I was strong as and I always justified my identity. I'm like, yeah, I'm fat, but I could lift more than all 5 of those guys put together, right? So that was my way to justify it. But dude, that wasn't real shit, that was fake shit, you know what I'm saying? And if I just wish like, if I could like grab someone by the ears, you know, like when you really got to tell someone, like when we play football, you know, your coach would grab you by the ear holes, and look you in the face. And if I could just do that to people and be like, bro, the problem is that you cannot adhere. Let us fix that problem. Let us fix your discipline. And when we fix your discipline, and it's going to have to fix by grit and force and fortitude, you are going to have to grind it out. You are going to have to push through it. You are going to have to force yourself into a place of momentum.
Back workout, April 27th, 2024. In my garage, built a gym in my garage. I do some transformations, leave my workouts online. Actually just started 75 hard. We'll say 75 hard days. I don't even know if I'm actually gonna do that program or not, because it's just not tailored to my actual goals itself. 2-a-days I'm down with. If I've got to have a rest day or my strength goes down, I know this from my training journal. So I do take 1 rest day, do 3 on, 1 off. 10 pages of a book I'm down with. Progress pictures I'm down with. Gallon of water I'm down with. Stick to a diet I'm down with. I'm at, say, 21 or 2200 calories. I'm tracking it with an app. I eat like 4 meals, 3 to 4 meals, but I don't top out after 21 or 2200 calories. Yeah, other than that, man, let's just fucking keep this transformation up. I'm just gonna, like I said, post it online and let's fucking go, dude. All right, peace.